Welcome back. The second read on second quarter GDP showing that the economy contracted 0.6% last quarter, signaling that the U.S. remains in a technical recession. That's 2 quarters of contraction, consecutive quarters. But the Atlanta Fed's GDP now model is estimating a growth of 1.6% for the third quarter. Joining me now, former CBO Director, American Action Forum President, Douglas Holtz-Eakin. Douglas, good morning to you and great to see you. You say the U.S. is likely not in recession, and people are overly focused on the health of households and consumer spending. Tell me more, because there are some concerns that we still have headwinds ahead.
Well, certainly we're not in a recession right now. The recession is a broad, across all sectors of the economy, and sustained downturn in economic activity. We've had 2 readings of negative GDP growth, that's true, but the first quarter was really driven by a very anomalous net export and inventory number. It's really a statistical artifact. Underneath it, the economy was growing at a real solid pace. So we haven't seen 2 consecutive quarters, in my view, and we also don't have the breadth and depth that you would see in a recession. We've got a labor market that's producing a couple 100,000 jobs every month. It's hard to call that a recession. So nevertheless, you're right about the headwinds. This isn't a boom by any means. We're getting mixed readings on the economy, and we have a Federal Reserve that has promised to finish the job, raise rates, tighten financial conditions as necessary to control inflation, and that runs the real risk of a genuine recession late this year, early next year. Okay. And I would be concerned about that.
And that makes a lot of sense, because there is a lag effect on Jerome Powell and his raising rates, the impact that has on the market. You point to the labor market as being one of the strong bright spots right now, and I agree with you. We're going to get a jobs report out on Friday. Might not be a terrible report, may not see a change, but in the coming months, that's where we could see the impact of rising rates, correct?
No question. One of the things to look for tomorrow in the JOLTS data is whether a lot of those job openings are disappearing. Last month, 600,000 job openings just disappeared. So businesses are figuring it out. The future is not rosy. We're not going to have as many people. Let's pull back on these openings. That's the first step. The second step is actual layoffs. We haven't seen that yet, and we would hope not to, but that's the real risk that we run. That's the pain to American businesses and households that the chairman was talking about on Friday.
Inflation, 8.5%. The market got excited, right? Trying to read into what Jerome Powell would or wouldn't do. And it thought that because we saw a tick down from 9.1%, that things were getting better. But now the expectation, and the chair himself, essentially reaffirmed this with his comments on Friday, that we've got some pain ahead for the American consumer.
No question about that. He was unambiguous and very clear and forthright on Friday. They want to see actual inflation decline on a sustained basis, not 1 month driven by gasoline prices, but multiple months across the indicators in the economy. And so for me, the one I focus on is the shelter inflation. That's a number that encompasses both homeowners and renters, and it has yet to decline. Shelter inflation has risen steadily since January of 2021. So that means the Fed has to cool the housing market even further. We've already seen it slow down dramatically. It'll cool further. They need to get that number down, because if that's at 6%, you can't get to their target of 2% without everything else being a 0. So look for the Fed to continue to raise. They will do this as necessary. One of the things that Powell emphasized Friday was that the mistake that was made in the 60s and 70s was to declare victory prematurely, and then the inflation came back with even greater ferocity. He has promised not to let that happen. So get ready for the Fed to finish this job, and meanwhile, keep track of how businesses are doing. What's the investment spending outlook look like? That's typically where you see the slowdown that leads to a recession. Well, not in the household sector.
I have been keeping track of it, as a matter of fact, because you're right. What happens is you see a headline here, you see a headline there, and you're not really looking at things in the larger picture, the larger scope of things. But for example, in technology, there have been a lot of warnings from tech companies about what the future looks like, bringing guidance down, either laying off in small numbers right now or saying we're implementing these hiring freezes. And when you start to make a larger list, it's actually pretty long, Douglas, and that is my biggest concern.
Well, I think it's a fair concern. The second quarter GDP, the one we just saw the revisions on, showed markedly weaker business spending. We saw non-residential structures down. We saw some real weakness in equipment and intellectual property investment. And those are the things to really keep an eye on. And we know that residential construction is dead in the water, so there's not a lot of business spending out there that we can afford to lose. That's the issue.
We do have a soundbite from the Fed chair speaking at Jackson Hole on Friday. Let's just listen to it and hear this in his own words.
Restoring price stability will likely require maintaining a restrictive policy stance for some time. The historical record cautions strongly against prematurely loosening policy.
All right, that was the premature language that you just mentioned. And he went on later to say that there is pain ahead. And that is troubling to a lot of people when they hear somebody like Jerome Powell using those kinds of words. They've already been feeling the pain at the grocery store, the pain at the pump, the pain in housing, as you brought up. And they're just wondering how much longer, even if he does raise rates, how long it takes for that to kick in.
Well, I think he was quite clear at the beginning of this cycle that it would take years, not months, to control inflation. And so one can look to another 2 years, perhaps, of the Fed holding a restrictive policy. And remember, the Fed doesn't think they're restrictive yet. They haven't even gotten to neutral. We have negative real interest rates. And I think the most important thing about that speech was what Jerome Powell didn't say. He didn't say we can engineer a soft landing. He's always made the point that that would be the goal. That was missing entirely.
Yeah.
He said, we're going to have to be restrictive and get ready.
I'm glad that you said that, because the soft landing part that he has been hoping for, right, and keeping the market, you know, poised for, it's very difficult to engineer the soft landing. In some ways, it almost feels like the hard landing is somewhat already baked into this cake, because engineering that specifically is really, really difficult. And we've got an administration that isn't cooperating with spending. It certainly makes his job harder to do. Douglas Holtz-Eakin, always great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.